Hilchas Avadim Perik Shvi. Get Shichrur, Tzarech Sheyin Yonei Dover Hakeres B'nei Levin Adenov. The in of a get Shichrur is something which is separating B'nei Levin Adenov, V'liyishor La'odin Beischus, and the Odin won't have any schus. L'chura, the word boy, the pashtus means in the Evet. In other words, the Evet is completely relinquishing his rights to the Evet. He has no schusim in the Evet. Lefichach. A case of la'avdi. Atzmecha v'chol nechase k'nui lecha chus m'makim pleini. A chus mitalis pleinis. He's writing a lashon, which is atzmecha v'chol nechase k'nui lecha. He's saying one star of atzmecha v'chol nechase. But he's leaving over part of the nechasim, chus m'makim pleini, chus mitalis pleinis, ein zekeres v'haget bottle. So it's not a krisus, and v'haget bottle. So the question is, l'chure, we're saying it has to be a davar hakeres b'nei levin adenov. V'liyishor la'odin beis chus. The odin has no schus in the evet. L'chure, he has no schus in the evet. He's giving the evet completely away to the evet. He's just leaving part of this property for himself. So how is that the pshat that he's nishur beis chus? It's not so clear in the Rambam. Unless you'll say the pshat is v'liyishor la'odin beis chus means in the shtar. And since the shtar is speaking about the odin's rights, so therefore v'liyishor la'odin beis chus. But lefizah it'll come out that it's not really a hemshech. That it knows shtar shichrut sar shiyun yoni davar hakeres b'nei levin adenov. So that's so then there has to be separating between Madena. And also, for the Yishar B'schus, he shouldn't have a schus in the Shtar Shichrur. Ulefichach, it's not so clear. In other words, we're asking over here the L'chura, Mashal by a get Isha, there's a din that when a person divorces his wife, so he has to be Dover Hakeres B'nei Leveino, and Memele, if he has a Tnai, which is La'elam Void, so since that Tnai will connect always, so felt in Dover Hakeres B'nei Leveino, it's not really a krisus. It's not a krisus. The Ram doesn't bring this din over here, L'gabi Shichruri Avadim, which is L'chura Tzarech, you have to understand, L'chura B'Pashtus, we learn it out from Giti Noshim. But L'chura, the Ram doesn't bring that din, that it gets Shichrur that was made al Tanai, and it was a L'elam Void D'Ketnai, so Meil, it's not going to work. And that would be also Dema L'Giti Noshim. The Ram doesn't mention that. That's not a mention. The Ram just says that get Shichrur Tzarech Shiyeh Yoni Dover Hakeres B'nei Levein Adenov. And then he says, V'leishor La'odin Beis Chus, he shouldn't have a schus, and the tzir is in the case where he leaves over some of the money, some of the item or some of the money. So unless you'll say that the pshat, since it's like one package deal, Atzmucha V'chol Nechase K'nui L'cho, and Lepel, he's leaving over part of that deal for himself, so Mele felt in Dover Hakeres B'nei Leveino. So you have to, it needs explanation. Let's read the din again. Get Shichrur Tzarech Sheyin Yoni Dover Hakeres B'nei Levein Adenov. First thing, a get Shichrur has to be something which is Keres B'nei Levein Adenov. V'lei Yishor La'odin Beis Chus. There's no schus in the odin in him. Pashas means in the evet. And Lefichach, since there's such a din, is a case of La'avdei Atzmecha V'chol Nechasei K'nuyin L'cha Chutz Mimakim Pleini, a Chutz Mitalis Pleinis. So therefore, Ein Zekeres felt in Christus, because it has to be Dover Hakeres B'nei Levein Adenov, and by him saying Chutz Mimakim Pleini, a Chutz Mitalis Pleinis, felt in the Dover Hakeres B'nei Levein Adenov. Because Lepel, in the get it says that this talis and this mokum is still his. And once mitech she'eni get, once it's not a proper get, because the get has to be Dover Hakeres B'nei Levein Adenov, and this Tanai takes away in that Inyan. So therefore, is also is Memel is doch ein Eved Meshucher, and once he's not Meshucher, is Vili Konim and Nechasim Klum v'chein Kol K'etzim B'zeh. In other words, in order for him to be koined in the Nechasim, he has to become a Meshucher. If he's not a Meshucher, he's not koined in the Nechasim. So and in order for him to become a Meshucher, he has to have a proper get. And since it said Chutz Mimakim Pleini, Chutz Mitalis Pleinis, so it's not a proper get. So Memele is not Meshucher, and Memele is not koined anything. Halacha Beis Eved Shehevi Gitei v'Kosev Bei Atzmei Atzmecho Nechase K'nuyim L'cha. So in the shtar it says Atzmecho Nechase K'nuyim L'cha. So the din is Atzmei Kona. So himself is Kona, Memele Baril Ben Chayden, and he can go ahead and marry a Bas Yisrael. Aval HaNechosim Le Kona, Achi is Kaim Aget B'Cheslov. In order for him to be able to take those Nechosim, for that he's going to need a Kiyum, Kishar Shtaris. Just like if a person will bring a shtar, and in the shtar would say that he's entitled to certain Nechosim, shtar Milva, citing Nechosim. So if he's being Goyva Shlei B'Fanov, so in order to be Goyva Shlei B'Fanov, he would have to need Kiyum. So Aldera is over here also, since he's tiny, that the Odin wrote him a shtar matana, and now he wants to collect this matana. In order to be able to collect this matana with the shtar, he needs kiyum. So this was talking about, he said, atzmecho nechase. He spoke about it separately. Atzmecho nechase. V'chein, im hoye kase, be'kol nechase knuyim l'cha. He didn't say atzmecho nechasim 2 words. He said, kol nechase knuyim l'cha. Says again, kana atzme, he's kana atzme, obeveli kana nechasim. Achi is kaima b'cheslav. Shechil can hadibur ve'imrim. Because we're mechalik, even though he said kol nechase, so l'chor manashach, are you accepting his words or you're not accepting his words? If the shtar says kol nechase, he didn't say, spoke different about him and about the nechasim. He said the b'chinas kol nechase. So nevertheless, that's the din of palgina dibura. We say like this: Atzmi kana mipnei shu neman lehavi get shechrur vein tzarich lekayim. If a person would just bring a shtar shechrur without any nechasim, he would have a shtar shechrur. So the din, just like an isha could come along with a get and get married with the get, even though she doesn't have kiyum, the Ram holds. So al derech zeh, an evet could come along with a shtar shechrur and get married based on the fact that he has a shtar shikri, he get married to a basker. Avol hanechosim, but if a person who comes in a shtar, and in that shtar it says that he's entitled to nechosim, she'ein adam keinei some ele b'raya brura, in order to be koine those nechosim, he needs a raya brura. So on that liyikeisam achis kaim shtar. In order to be considered a raya brura, you need kiyum. So the Rambam is saying basically that there's a difference between an eved which wants to can be considered a meshukher, however, as opposed to taking money from someone. When a person never to be meshukher is enough that he has a shtar she'eni mekuyim. He has a shtar she'eni mekuyim. Masha'en kein, in order to be able to be motzimam from someone, a shtar she'eni mekuyim is not enough. And why not? Because over here you need a raya brura, and a raya brura is only a shtar that's mekuyim. That's how the Rambam is magdirat. So in other words, the nemonis is a nemonis enough to be able for his shikhrur, but in order to be made simam, for that it's not enough. So pshat polgina dibur pshat is he's saying that the kol nechasi knuyim l'cha. For this Indian it's enough nemonis, and for this it's not enough nemonis. My says in this Rambam it is also a chidush b'negei the havanas advarim of the chiluk between a get where we don't say we don't have to have kiyum in order for it to get married. Masha'inkin, as opposed to other stars where you want to be made simamen, over there you need kiyum in order to get married, in order to be made simamen. It goes like this. The din is, as we said, a woman that comes along with a get, and she's megureshes, even though the shtar is not mekuyim, so she could go ahead and get married. On the other end, the person that comes along and tainas that someone owes him money, and he wants to be gave the money shli b'fanav, so the din is he can't be gave the money unless he's mekayim the shtar. So Tesis Bemis and the other Rishonim ask in the beginning of Gittin, that l'chura, what's the difference? The reason why when a person comes with a shtar and he tainas, that the way I understand, when a person comes with a shtar and he tainas that someone owes him money, so why does he need kiyum? So Tesis understands that the reason is because tanina mezuyif. We taina that the shtar is mezuyif, and since we're taina the shtar is mezuyif, so he needs kiyum. It's a special din of tanina shalei b'fanav. So Tesis is asking, so if that's the case, just like with Tanina Mezuyif, when you want to be Meitzi Mammon, and therefore you need to be Mekayim the Shtar, so why is it that when a woman wants to get married, aren't we also Tanina Mezuyif? Because she was married, now she has a get, so why aren't we Tanina Mezuyif? In order she should have to be Mekayim the Shtar. That's the Kasha of Tesis. And the Nakud of Tesis, the answer is that Be'emes, the reason why you have to be Mekayim a Shtar when you want to be Meitzi Mammon is Mitzat Tanina Mezuyif. Mashenkin by a get, mitzadiguna, kila barabon, you're not tiny mezuyif. That's what it says in Tesis. But from the Rambam it comes out as very different. The Rambam says like this: the madrega of a shtar she'eni mekuyim is enough of a madrega for a woman to get married, and al derezeh for an evet to go ahead and be a meshukher. That's a different type of nemonis. A shtar which is not mekuyim. A shtar she'eni mekuyim is enough for a woman to get married. That's what the Rambam explains in Hilchas Ishus, in Perik Zayin, and al derech zeh, an evet, for an evet to go ahead to marry a bascherin, it's enough the madrega of a shtar, which is eini mekuyim. Masha'enken, to be moitzim mammon, you don't have to come on to the word because of tanina mezuyev. To be moitzim mammon, a shtar she'eini mekuyim is not enough. Whereas a shtar she'eini mekuyim will say the pshat is becheskas a kosher shtar. And since it's becheskas a kosher shtar, So therefore, that becheskes a kosher star is enough for a woman to get married with such a star, and al derech zeh for an evet to become meshucher with such a star. Masha'enkin, when your person wants to be moitzi mamin, so the Ram says over here, avol nechosim she'ein on the kedemesa ela beraya brura. So it means to say that a star, which is eni mekuyim, it doesn't have a din of a raya brura. So it's not because you're tanina mezuyev. It's because in order to be able to be moitzi mamin, you need a raya brura. Mela, since avol hanechosim she'ein on the kedemesa ela beraya brura, so therefore the yiknei samachi is kaim ashtar. But I'll call upon him. The din is that when a person comes along and says atzmich on nechasei knuyim l'chor, he says kol nechasei knuyim l'chor. So the din is he himself could go ahead and be a ben chayrim based on that star, even if there's no kiyum. But in order to go ahead and take the nechasim, for that he needs kiyum. And the Rambam is magder that the reason why he needs kiyum in order to take the nechasim is because to take the nechasim is not enough the madrega of a star she'enim v'koyim. For that you need a raya brura, and the raya brura is only going to happen if you have Eidim which are Mekayim the star. Halacha Gimel. HaMishachar Shnei Avadim B'Shtar Echad Leikonu Atzmo. You can't be Mishachar two Avadim with the same star. Ella Kois Mishtar L'Chol Echad V'Echad. You have to write each one a star. Lefichoch HaKesev Kol Nechosav L'Shnei Avadim B'Shtar Echad. He wrote Kol Nechosav L'Shnei Avadim B'Shtar Echad. Is Af Atzmo Leikonu, because Lepel is not a star shikhr. A star shikhr is only if a person has a personal star shikhr. You can't have a star shikhr together with another evet. That's the number one. Now, the imkosav b'shnei shtaris. However, if he wrote two shtaris, in other words, he wrote to each evet a star shikhr, and lepel he was maknit to both of them together. He gave one person two shtaris shikhr for two avodim, and he wrote it together for both of them. And in each star shikhr he wrote that kol nechasik knuyim l'cha. So l'chura kol nechasik knuyim l'cha is killed the other evet. And the other Eved also has kol nechasei knuyim l'cha. So together they're being koine kol nechasei, and they're being koine each other. So therefore, Meshachrim says, Lepel, he's relinquishing his rights to both Avadim at the same time. He doesn't leave with any kinyan in any of the Avadim. But on the other hand, the Avadim are koine each other together. In other words, he's koine kol nechasei, which includes the other Eved, and the other Eved is koine kol nechasei, which includes all the other Eved. So Mela, it comes out that they both own each other together. They both own each other together. But Medvar, so you have to understand the Agdoras Advarim. You know, on one hand he's a Chotzi Ben Chayden, and on the other hand he's a Chotzi Eved of that other Eved. And Al Derazeh, each Eved he's a Ben Chayden, and he's also an owner of the other Eved. But Medvar Mamurim B'Shekose B'Chol Shtar Mishnayim Kol Nechosen L'Chsunim. Now here it says the Lashon L'Pleini Avodah, which L'Chura, if he writes in each star L'Pleini Avodah, each star is a apostle star. So the Rambam Taka brings from the Chasam Sefer that he's Magi, and the Rambam says it can't say L'Pleini Avodah. It's but Masha'enki V'Shekosim Kol Shtar Mishtein Kol Nechosim Nesunim L'Pleini Avdi, either without L'Pleini or L'Pleini, or if you're going to say the Pshat is that the Chol Shtar Mishtein Kol Nechosim Nesunim L'Pleini on one star or L'Pleini on the other star. But I'll call upon him, the star didn't say L'Pleini or L'Pleini. Avalim Kosa. But if he wrote each star, Chotzei Nechosei L'Pleini Avdi, and V'Chatzi Nechosei L'Pleini Avdi, is Abishnei Shtoris L'Kona Klum. So if a person writes a star to an Eved, he says, I'm giving you half of my Nechosim. And then he's writing to another Eved, and he's telling the other Eved, I'm giving you my Nechosim. And Lepel, he gave it to both of them in Pasachas. Lepel, he gave it to both of them basachas. So Lepel, if he wrote to each one, I'm giving you all my nechasim, and he wrote to the other one, I'm giving you all my nechasim, and he gave it to both of them basachas. So the din is that they were both koina together, and they taka each one is koina half of the nechasim, because the star was a star that the Emma said that he's being maknim all of him to himself. The only thing is that he was also being maknim to someone else. Masha'inkin, if he writes chotzi nechasi l'pleni avdi, and then he writes chotzi nechasi l'pleni avdi, and he writes it b'shnei shtaris, is like kana klum. Why? She'evet b'chlal nechasim v'alishir b'chetzi v'ezeh shikra. In other words, you can't be mishacher a half evet. Person can't be mishacher a half evet. You have to be mishacher all the entire evet. That was the beginning of the first halacha. That tzarich and yoni davar hakeres b'nei levinos. If a person is being mishacher a half evet, that's not called a shikra. And v'kiva shlei nishtachar is leikanim and nechasim klum is bekitzer. When a person writes in one star to two avadim, is garnished. When a person writes to two Avadim, each one in a separate star, and each one he writes, Kol Nechasei Knuyim L'cha, so each one was Koine Kol Nechasei, which includes the other Eved. So Memela, those Avadim both own each other, and therefore they have to be Meshachar each other. That's the din. Masha'inkin, if a person is going to write Chotzi Nechasei to one Eved, and then Chotzi Nechasei to the other Eved, so both Avadim aren't Kain anything. So even though Lepel, when he writes all his Nechasim to one, and the other one, all the Nechasim to the other, and he's makna at the same time, so really what's happening is that half of the Nechasim is going to one, half of the Nechasim is going to the other, but that's only because he wrote to each one Kol Nechasei. Masha'inkin, if he wrote to each one Chatzi Nechasei, so then it's not a Kinyan. Halacha Dal, and a Mashachar Chatzi Avdi Bishtar Likona, which is we want Likona Evet Chatzi, which is what we just learned. That when a person is Meshachar Chatzi Avdi Bishtar, so it wasn't a Maisa Kinyan. And therefore, Vareu Evet Kshoya. That's been a Ger Shtar. Aval Mshachar Chatzi Bekesef. If he was Meshachar half of his Evet Bekesef, Kigain, Shaloka Chatzi Domov, Al Manas L'Shachar Chatzi. In other words, the way the Shichur works is that the Odin takes the money, Al Manas L'Shachari, and the deal was that he's going to take the money and to be Meshachar half of the Evet. So then Kana, so then the Evet was Kaina Chatzi. V'nimtza, so then comes out. So that's Eichatimtza of a Chetzi Evet, a Chetzi Ben Chena. So in other words, someone owns an Evet, and then he got money either from the Evet or he got it from someone else in order to Meshachar Chetzi, and he was Meshachar Chetzi. So to give a star that's Meshachar Chetzi felt in Dover Akedes B'nei Levina. So it has to be a Dover Akedes. Masha'inke, to take an Evet, to take money, and through that be Meshachar Chetzi, that's Beseder. B'medvar Mamurim, B'sheshichur Chetzi B'shtar, V'hiniyah Chetzi. When do we say that when a person is Meshachar Chatzi Avdei B'shtar, that's not considered a Shichur, because he was Meshachar Chatzi Avdei B'shtar, and Lepel, he left the other half for himself. So Mele, he still has a kinyan in this Evet, so he's not being Meshachar the entire Evet. Avalim Shichur Chatzi, U'machar Chatzi, with one transaction, he was Meshachar half of the Evet, with a star, and he was also Mecher half of the Evet. Eshe Shichur Chatzi, V'nosan Chatzi Matana, he was Meshachar half of the Evet, and the other half of the Evet is giving us Matana, so he's not remaining with any part of the Evet. He's only giving the Evet half of himself, Bishtar. But on the other end, he's not remaining with any part of the Evet. Aber Hoyel v'yotza Evet kule b'rshusei. Since the Evet was Yotzei b'rshusei, is Kana Evet Chatzi, so the Evet is Kenim's half. Memela, and that's also a case where there is a Chatzi Evet v'Chatzi ben Chenim. That's a case of a Chatzi Evet and Chatzi ben Chenim. So we have two cases of a Chatzi Evet and Chatzi ben Chenim. One case is where the Odin received money in order to Meshachar Chatzi, and then we have another case where the Odin wrote a star to the Evet to Meshachar Chatzi. But at the same time, he's not keeping the other half for himself. The other half he's giving over to someone else. He's being Meshachar one half, and the other half he's either selling to someone or he's giving it away. That's a second case. V'chein, a third case is that we have an Evet shel shnei shutfim, an Evet that belongs to two shutfim, and lepel v'shichur echad mem chelkei. One of them completely gave over his chelik. See, his whole chelik is only half, and he's giving that over to the Evet. So Memela is being bekesed, being b'shtar. Either it was given over bekesed or b'shtar, and he was paid in order to transfer his half, or he gave it b'shtar. Is lepel is kon Evet chetzi, and Memela v'hareu chetzi Evet v'chetzi b'chein. So these are the three echatim of chetzi Evet and chetzi b'chein. Either he received money to Meshachar chetzi, or he wrote him a star to Meshachar chetzi. But on the same time, he also wrote a star to sell the other half, or to give it away of the other half. Or he was an Evet shel shnei shutfim, and one of the shutfim were Meshachar his half, either through Mammon or through Shtar. Halacha Hey, Hakoisev l'shavchosei mu'beres harei ad baschein uvlodich Evet. So we learned you can't be Meshachar a half a Evet. What happens if a person, an Evet, a shivcha is mu'beres, and you want to be Meshachar the shivcha, but the vlad you want to retain for yourself, so that you could do. Hakoisev l'shavchosei mu'beres harei ad baschein uvlodich Evet is dvar of kayom. So then dvar is kayom. Now we learned before that when a person says kol nechasi knuyim lecha chutz midavar pleni, so then it's not considered a good shichur because lepeil it was a shir. Shengen over here, when a person says harei ad baschein uvladich evet, in other uvladich is not part of this baschein. In other words, I'm being meshachar you, but I was never meshachar your vlad. Your vlad is not part of this deal. Memela, so then is Dvar of Kayom, because he didn't retain anything of the Shivcha, he just retained the Vlad of the Shivcha. You have to understand it, but Al Kopar, that's what it says in this halacha, that even though he's in the Shtar, it says that he's retaining the Vlad of the Shivcha, but that's not a chsarn in the krisus. But Fakir, that's if he said Hareyat Baschein Uvlodi Chevet. However, if he said Hareyat Shivcha Uvlodi Ben Chein, so then it's Lo Yamar Klum, Shezek Mishim Meshachar Chetzia. Just like if a person says, I'm only being Meshachar Chetzia, so then it's Lo Yamar Klum. So here also, since she herself, he's only being Meshachar the Vlad, and the Isha itself, he's retaining for himself, so then it's no better than being Meshachar, a Chatzi Isha, a Chatzi Shivcha. L'chura, it's even worse, because L'chura, the Vlad is not really a Bar Hachi to Mekabel a Get Shikhr, but I'll call upon him, it's certainly not better. Halacha Vav. Shivcha Charufa. Shivcha Charufa is a Chatzi Shivcha and a Chatzi Baschein that's married to an Avadim. That's what a Shivcha Charufa is. Is a Mrotzer L'Shachar Chetzi Anisha. He wants to go ahead and Meshachar the other half. And V'tiyasa Eishes Ishgura. So the din is that he's a Meshachar, he could be Meshachar this other half, Bein Bekesef, Bein B'shtar. Sha'afa Kesef, Goymer Shechrura. So the Gemara Shechrur could come also through Kesef. In other words, it's not the pshat is that only through a star she becomes Mamish of Baskerin, and only then could he marry her and she should become Eishes Ishgura. And there was a Shivcha, which was Koines Atzma through Kesef, is also becomes a complete Baskerin. Memela, she's entitled to become, she could become an Eishes Ishgura. Understand what the chiddush over here is? We learned before that a shivcha, an avid, can be nikna bekesef. Be nikna bekesef. We didn't learn that an avid that's nikna bekesef is sarach shtar shekher. So what's the chiddush over here? That a shivcha charufa, which you're being meshacher, the other half through kesef, becomes a bascherin gemura to the extent that she doesn't need a shtar shekher, and to the extent that she become an Eishes Ishgura. But says that the chiddush over here is that kesef is not only mafkia the shibud, but it also creates mamisha that she should have a din of a bascherin. That's what Tesa says in Kiddushin. The Mai says l'chura, the chiddush is not right here. L'chura, the chiddush would be b'chlal. An eved is the chnikna bekesef and also b'shtar. So the chiddush is that a shivcha, so she becomes a bascherin. She becomes a regular bascherin. Halacha zayin, mi shechetzi eved v'chetzi ben chen. So which we learned that there's different ways of becoming Chetzi Eved and Chetzi Mechein, either through Kesef, that someone gave Kesef to the Yod, and Mamela is Meshachar Chetzia, or through Shtar, but while he was giving the Shtar for Chetzi Eved, he was also being Moicher the other half, or giving away Matana the other half, or he was an Eved of Shnei Shutfim, these three cases, Abamisha Chetzi Eved and Chetzi Mechein, Hail, Ve'eni Mutter, Lebe Shivcha, Ve'lebe Baschein. At this point in time, he can't marry a shivcha because of the bacherin shabei, and he can't marry a bascherin because of the evet shabei. So therefore, it's kefin is rabbi ve'esin esin ben cherin. However, Lepel the rabbi is losing money because Lepel he owns a half evet. So therefore, the case of shtara lo b'chitzi damav. So the evet has to be mischayev to pay for half of the dam. The rabbi is being meshacherim, so that the evet owes him the money for that shikr. Now, b'medvar mamurim be'evet. Because and therefore it's kefnus rabbi for him to be able to be makayim peri v'rivya. Aval shivcha, which is not mechuyev in peri v'rivya, is to share kameshehi. She can remain a chatzi shivcha for chatzi baschein, and what will be the arrangement? So she works for herself one day and for the rabbi one day. However, so that is case for rabbi l'shachar. Let's say Avadim consider her a shivcha, Memela a shivcha is mutter be'avid, but she's the chatzi baschein, and that part is also be'avid. Memela so naga b'acheta minig hefker, so then it's kefin is rabbi l'shachar, and over here is also the case of oler shtar b'chatzi demel. So now she has to commit herself to owe, for becoming meshuchreres, so she owes the money whatever it's worth for her for a chatzi shivcha to become meshuchreres for that value. Halacha ches. Misha chetzi eved v'chetzi ben chen, she'amad rabbi v'hikne chetzi lebnei akoden, kedei sheliyakufu esim bezn l'shacharei. So we learned that a chetzi eved v'chetzi ben chen, you go ahead and you force the odin to be mishachar the eved, the chetzi eved shebei. Now this odin didn't want to be mishachar him, so he went ahead and he was makna the chotzi Eved to his bnei, so he shouldn't be able to be Meshachrim. And l'chura the bnei also can be Meshachrim, because normally a cotton can be Meshachrim. So the din is mamidin bezin l'cotton apetrupis, the koisim le apetrupis get shichr, and the koisim le ishtar b'chatzi damov. Normally a din is apetrupis now be Meshachar Avadim. But over here, because Lepel, this father, did Shalei Kahagen, so therefore the Rashbam says that they instituted the din of Hefker, Bezin Hefker, and therefore the Apotropos is able to write a Shtar Shichr on this Chotzi Eved. But Lepel, just like if the father would have written the Shtar Shichr, so then the Eved would have to write a Shtar which he owes the Odin money. So here also, since Lepel he owes the cotton money, Lepel now he's owned by the cotton. So now that the Apotropos is writing Mashtar Shichr, so he has to write a shtar that he owes the cotton money. That's Mamidin Bezin the cotton Apotropos, the case of the Apotropos get Shichr, and then the case of the shtar b'chatzi dam. And now Lepel, the cotton is possible it should be a hechatimtza where the cotton doesn't really want to be Meshachar the Eved. There's Mamidin Apotropos for the Eved. Lepel, Vaisus Chazal, that's what the Rashbam says, that Chazal didn't want to institute a Metzias where you be Meshacher the Eved against the Ratzon of the cotton. So therefore, when the Starach HaKotten be Eved, V'yeshle Gaguyim Olav, so then it's Mafligen Esim Imenu B'mois. You don't want to just force him away from him, so therefore you give the child money in order for the child to be maskim. Shadaita shall cotton Korav Eitz L'mois. So therefore, we can assume that if you're going to give money to the cotton will be mavater, and it'll be done midaita. Even though the pale is being done through the apotropos, there's the actual ma'asakin being done through apotropos, but the Chazal didn't want that it should be done beferish against the cotton's will. Halacha tes shchiv mirah shekosev kol nechosev liavdei va'amad. So the din is chayzer ben nechosev, which is the regular din of a shchiv mirah, that he can be chayzer, because if he was amad, we assume that the hakno was only on manas that he's going to die, and if he was amad, he could be chayzer. However, even though he can be chayzer, but again the chosim ain't a chayzer be'eved. As far as the evidence is concerned, he can't be chayzer. Shahri yotzal of shem ben chayrin, since it was already yotzal of shem ben chayrin, so therefore he can't be chayzer. You have to understand the pshat over here. The pashtus advarim is because since it was yotzal ben chayrin, so therefore Chazal didn't want that he should be able to be chayzer b'negei the evidence. It was yotzal of shem ben chayrin, and now he's becoming uiz ben chayrin. But l'chur, if that's the case, so l'chur, how did he become a ben chayrin? Since Lepel, the shtar was only written on Manas Shiyamos, and if not dying, so it was never meant, because it was L'chatchila meant only on Manas Shiyamos, so how does he become a ben chayrin? It should be mutim bas chayrin. L'chur, how does he become a ben chayrin? So therefore, the Rashba says that be'emes we assume that his das, since Yosel of ben chayrin, we assume that the das of the Odin was L'chatchila also that he should become a ben chayrin even if he doesn't die. So it comes out, he wrote a shtar, and he wrote over there Kol Nechosav, and Lepel, he's writing Kol Nechosav Lavde, and we're saying like this, but again, him himself, we assume that it's Kol Nechosav, even if he doesn't die. Masha'enkim, and again, the other Nechosav, we understand that it's only in the event that he dies. It's a little bit, it's a chidush de kapshat, but that's, Shaila, that's also the kavanah of the Rambam, but I'll call upon him, that's the halacha. The halacha is nachamo. The shchiv mirah shekosav Kol Nechosav Lavde umes. So the din is chayzer ben chosim, ain't a chayzer ba'avid. Why? Shari yotzal of shem ben chayzer.